I've got some Birch butcher block countertop, Home Depot. Here's the finished cut, and I'll go over the proper procedures to make this cut, and then I'll show how I go about slicing it. So I've inspected both sides of the counter. The finish feels the same on each. However, on the bottom side, there's a lot of knots that are gouged out. So I chose this side, but there's a few nicks right here. In this area, a little bit of gouging. Luckily, I only need the countertop to be 39.5 inches. So this gouging will disappear with the cutoff. This represents 39.5 inches, and I have a lot of this excess. So I'm going to do a practice cut to make sure everything goes smoothly, and I'm going to have a long discussion on saw blades, the saw itself, straight edge, a guide, and I'll put chapters in the video if you want to skip to point of interest. What I'm going to check for here is to see if this blade is parallel with the guide, because even if you have a straight edge, if that blade is not straight, it will start to walk when you're cutting, bind up, and when that happens, you got to stop. And what I've done in the past is finish it freehand and then sand down what you need. So to do this check, we'll just rest the blade squarely against the wood and bring the straight edge over to the guide and clamp it. Now, as we slide along, the blade should stay right on the wood. It's actually rolling there, so it might have got a little snug. I'm tight against the guide. The blade is not tight against the wood here. It's a little tighter in the back. Tight, not tight. That is not good. So let me test a newer saw. Blade is tight. Blade is tight. So this saw checks out. No wonder I had such trouble with the other saw. And that makes all the difference. So that's something you might want to check, because my brother was helping me in Florida and he needed to trim a door the whole way, just a little sliver off. And he put the straight edge on there and he could not get that thing to follow correctly. He had no clue what was going on. He apologized because he ruined the door, and come to find out, it wasn't him, it was my tools. It was this thing. So this is the tool I'll be using to make the cut. So I'll come back about an inch, make the cut. Another thing, due to the rotation of the blade, you want to flip your piece over and cut it from the bottom. You'll have less rip out on the top. But since this is a practice cut, we'll see how well it does. Now I'd like to discuss saw blades. This here is a demolition blade with carbide tips, which is considered a no-no for this project. However, when you get a large number of teeth, like 62 on up, what I find, everything has to be perfect to get that blade to cut smoothly. Any type of movement, the blade starts to bind up, the blade is being pinched. It's like a dull blade, it goes real slow. I don't have much luck with it. With the carbide tip, it cuts a little bit wider and it gives the blade some breathing room. Now they say this will rip it up pretty bad, but I haven't had much issues. Now, if you were doing a butt joint, that would be unacceptable. So I'm going to try it. This is just a practice piece. We'll see how it goes. Of course, I'm going to use a brand new blade. They're both Demolition blades, same amount of teeth. However, this one's labeled to have tracking control. We'll test that. One last setting, adjust the depth of the cut so the teeth are just coming through the bottom of the material. That cut rather smoothly. A little bit of blowout here. That's pretty nice. Just light sand here. Round that off, be perfect. This is the top side. It did not rip very much at all. Here's the cut side. Here's the finished side. Just needs sanded. Out of curiosity, I put the blade I just used on the old saw. I'm going to try that. I also got a wider guide because at the end here with the other saw, I just hit it. Maybe that's what made that blowout. So that cut is acceptable. This can be sanded out. Some blowout here. It seemed like the saw was struggling a bit. Maybe that's due to being out of line. So now let's do the real deal. I've got the counter flipped over. Measurement 39.5. The way I determine where to place the guide is to line your blade right up with the mark. You want to be on that side of the mark if you want exact measurement. And then put a line right here. Now we're getting technical, but it's perfect. I raise the saw, put it right on the line, make sure it's square, then draw a line on your fence. You also could take that measurement and transfer it to this side. Put the straight edge right on the line. Also clamping the countertop to your workstation. It's right on the line. That's perfect. Check the other side. Here's another check. If your saw allows the tape measure to go through there. Hook onto the end. Check the measurement at the blade. Right on the money. 39.5. Now I'm making a larger cut. So you want to have a catcher, something a little lower than the cut to land on. It could blow out here on the end if you let it drop. However, you go real fast right at the end. No problem. Now that we're ready to do the real deal, for some reason, it never turns out as good as the practice piece. That's very nice. Top and bottom. Very little rip out. Right there, hit that with a sander. 220 grit. Very nice. Slightly rounded. You don't want hard corners on a countertop anyway. Ready for stain? I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Hope this has helped someone. In the next video, I'll show how to stain and finish the surface. I'll provide a link